And it's him, you know, classic content cop style, rolling around, pretending to fight, put his costume on, smoking some cigarettes, and then running off into the distance. Classic stuff. That felt very authentic.
Did it feel very authentic? It felt like he was just doing this so that he could label it content cop. This did not feel authentic to me. I feel like that's what I've seen most people saying, is that this did not feel like content cop or old school idubbz at all. Just a weak attempt to do what he had to do so that he could call it a content cop and get more eyes on it. That's how it came across to me. But Caleb says it was authentic. Really, how many times in this video he said, I don't know, I don't know. I don't know why you guys would even bother watching my video, because I have nothing of value to say on this. And it'd be one thing if he said that throughout the video, and then when people pushed back and said, hey, you shouldn't have done this video if you don't know anything outside of what idubbz said here, and he said, I don't care, and kept it up. But no, he says, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, as if it's a funny joke throughout the video over and over again. And then when people push back and say, hey, you don't know enough about this, then he deletes the video.
Big day for the unemployed. So yeah, talking about the harassment thing, and then Ian being the one putting out.
Okay, and then again, he does this stuff where he's like, yeah, I'm too offline. I'm too much of a real life Chad for any of this stuff. But I am going to upload a video about it. And then as soon as I get any pushback from people on the internet, I'm going to delete the video. Okay, I can give Caleb a little bit of a point here. Yeah, hypocrisy can be funny to point out, but it's not really all that meaningful of a point, because you could sit there and say day after day, people who wear green shirts are bad. People who wear green shirts are terrible. I would never wear a green shirt. And then I wear a green shirt. Sure, it might be funny to put those clips next to each other, but it doesn't actually mean that suddenly I'm a bad person for wearing a green shirt.
I don't know,
See, trying to be fair. It really gotta nitpick to find any points of agreement with this Caleb guy, but I'm trying. Oompaville did a video on idubbz revival of the Content Cop series and uploaded it, only to very shortly, by the looks of this screenshot here, 3 hours after uploading it, he took it down. And Paper Airships looks like it was watching this video and got the "this video is unavailable" error, tweets out at Oompaville, what's up? Oompaville replies, remove the video. Tried to be lighter and not dig so deep, but that's folks' expectations. So it was just stupid and pointless. Shouldn't have posted it. And this Paper Airships guy is a 1 follower account, but Caleb felt the need to reply to that guy. A lot of pressure. And another person tweeted at him named Chumbles, who is literally a 0 follower account, all right? And I say this from the lofty heights of a 700 subscriber channel, all right? He says, the at Oompaville video on the H3 content cop is terrible, with no critical thinking, just repeats the rhetoric idubbz says in the video and takes it all at face value. I like Oompa's video, but if you are not willing to do any outside research to check the context surrounding the clips used in the video, then you shouldn't make the video in the first place. And Caleb says, I would hang myself before breaking this beef down any further. Recorded that right after it happened. But now seeing everything unfold, I'm getting too old for this crap. Lol. Chumbles replies, you didn't break anything down, just took Ian's words at face value. Ethan was heated on this topic because CPS was called on him and his family. If you don't want to do the bare minimum research into the background of these clips, don't make the video in the first place. And Caleb says, you're correct. It was a mistake to even cover it. It's a massive suckfest, and it's going to get so much worse. Chumbles says, we can agree on that. Respect for admitting your mistake. Hands, clapping hands emoji. Okay, yeah, and that's the same thing. Oh, I want to say, he says, I like Oompa's video, but if you're not willing to do any outside research to check the context surrounding the clips used in the video, then you shouldn't make the video in the first place. I like the video. I just don't think he should have made it. But he's probably just trying to be nice because he likes Oompaville, but it doesn't really make much sense to say, yeah, I like the video, just don't think it should have existed. And then Caleb does this thing. He does this in a couple different ways. It's very obnoxious, but he's like, oh yeah, I'm way too online or way too offline to get into any of this. I'm too much of a Chad IRL person. It's like, okay, man, you make a living doing YouTube drama videos. It doesn't make much sense to act like this about it. And then on his community post, he says, removed today's video. Why? Because I felt like it. I'm going to start doing that more. I'm married. I can do whatever I want. Also, a lot of people expected a lot of research and taking it very seriously, and I can't do that while maintaining a positive mental state and touching grass and remaining employed, so I'm sorry. The thing is, if he would have just watched the H3 content nuke on Hasan, he pretty much would have had enough context that he could have given passable commentary on this video. There's other stuff that you could watch that would help, but if you saw that, you'd have enough where you could be pretty fair, and maybe he'd still have similar opinions and he'd mostly agree with idubbz. But just that watching that video alone, which is about the same length as idubbz video, I think he would have been pretty much good. But his fans thought this was great. He got that Abe Lincoln build. Wait, what? What? Really? This is okay. We're just gonna be like, oh, what a Chad. Being secure in a relationship makes me feel like I can do whatever I want too. Love this for y'all so much. You're basically free. Brandon Buckingham says, I stand with Oompa King. What the heck, Brandon? Am I gonna have to take down my tapestry? And then he did also reply to this video, which I mean, that was pretty much the highlight of idubbz Content Cop video, just him literally whimpering and crying to some psychologist trying to get him to downgrade his review of H3's apology to Cutie Cinderella. Caleb says, limb foul. Anyway, this guy, Royalty20, shout out to him. He re-uploaded the video, and it's a little bit wonky at parts. He doesn't full screen it perfectly the entire time, but pretty solid re-upload. And I couldn't find it anywhere else, so, you know, credit to him.
Anyways, this is a crazy one.
I mean, that's comedy. Is there anything funnier than gross noises and effects? That's the height of comedy for me. That's about as good as it gets.
All right, we're talking about the latest iteration of Content Cop, which has been dead for a long time, very long time, and this version of Content Cop is about H3, idubbz, long ancient YouTube history. There's a lot to go over.
Wakey, Ethan. Wake up, Ethan. Wake up.
One very important note is that we're operating only through the context of clips on how Ian portrays them in his video. We are taking the time to go through, but
well, we aren't. You are, Caleb. Lots of people have more context to these clips, but you don't. You chose not to look into any more of it, which, I mean, you don't have to, but if you're going to do a video about it, probably not going to be that great.
It would take many more days to go through and find old streams from both Hasan and H3 to find the full context for moments that Ian edited down to make things more concise for his video. So that's not a critique or anything, that is truly just an acknowledgement of a potential lack of context here. Or full context, I guess. There's always a possibility that things aren't in full, and that's just how the internet works. Now, on May 18th, 2023, idubbz made a video talking about the state of his channel and his career and how he moved from the type of content he used to create and needed to shift to keep up with the new and changing times, like making
I think that was the last video until this Content Cop on idubbz channel that got 1 million views. Crazy for a 7 million subscriber channel. There's a year gap in uploads before getting another 1 million view video.
squirrel videos. That was this edgy videos out, squirrel content was in.
I'm stupid and I really...
He also did Chex Mix reviews too. It wasn't just squirrel videos, all right? He had a great variety of interesting, riveting content.
Squirrel videos. That was this edgy videos out, squirrel content was in.
I'm stupid and I really need to like acknowledge these things. Like what am I doing? I'm still trying to make excuses for myself and like, you know, why I made that video. It's like, it was a dumb idea. I harassed someone. I was saying slurs and I was trying to justify it all.
So in order for him to fulfill this, he went on a soul-searching journey to realize and apologize
To the entire black community. I still can't believe he did that. I think he did it with 2 different black YouTubers that he went on their channels and prostrated himself before the black community and begged for forgiveness for his grievous sins.
Justify it all.
So in order for him to fulfill this, he went on a soul-searching journey to realize and apologize for all of his evil, horrible Content Cop mistakes.
I had a very Wild West mentality when it came to online behavior. Like, people are going to do what they want to do. People are going to say what they want to say. And I can pretty much do the same because it's the internet. But I think you have to be a lot more responsible. If you guys are at all interested in how I've arrived here, that video gives, you know, a good bit of context and talks about some of my life a little bit.
All the content cops that were posted to his channel would be unlisted and hidden away from prying eyes in order to change his persona for the better. So they weren't available publicly, I guess, but the links would be dropped in a Google Doc for anyone to click and enjoy, but not available on the channel front and center. I personally really liked content cops a lot. I thought they were great. I like mean commentary. I like it when people are really mean to each other. It's fun, it's really entertaining, and it's kind of what makes life interesting. Especially
I did enjoy the idubbz videos back in the day, the content cops and whatnot. I watched Chud Logic rewatch one of the old ones, and wow, it really did not hold up. But we'll say, at least he attempted to put jokes in those videos. It was much, much more watchable than the most recent content cop, even if it didn't really hold up. But I mean, it's comedy. You can't expect most of it to hold up for, I mean, what has it been, like 7, 8 years since he did those content cop videos? So fair enough. But at the very least, give him credit. He tried to make jokes.
on the internet, because it's not real. You know, it's just like, it's just fun. It's just all in good fun.
YouTube's your boy Reggie Reg. You don't need to clock to know what time it is. What up, party people in the place to be? It's your boy C Snacks.
What's up, people? What it be? What it do? Happy Man Snacks back again with a new review.
This dude looks like if only Use Me Blade got his life together, kind of.
It's your boy C Snacks.
What's up, people? What it be? What it do? Happy Man Snacks back again with a new review.
Hey, what's going on, party people?
Yeah, maybe it's just the hoodie and the hat that he's wearing, but I feel like he does. He looks like only Use Me Blade got his stuff together.
People, it's your boy Snack Dubs back again with another legit food review. I get that they want to excite their audience, all right? They want to build anticipation, they want to create suspense, but there's only so much suspense you can create for a fucking fast food review.
The response to Ian's reflection left a very bad taste in his fans' mouths, and the move away from the content that made him popular enraged the online community and left him very open to a lot of different criticism and attacks. I can definitely put myself in Ian's shoes back in the olden days when I put down the Ouya and started playing Amazing Frog. Does anybody get that reference? I don't even understand that.
I think the Ouya was like $100 Android console. The only thing I remember about it is I think you could use it to use emulators, so you could play old Nintendo games and stuff on it, but on a console. I think that's what he's talking about. Not that it matters, but I think that's what the Ouya was.
However, after Ian's big change, his viewership started to decline and the harsh reality of his audience shifting was hitting him. It was wild. It was a tumultuous time for YouTube, and don't get me wrong, he was doing okay. He was like streaming and doing some other stuff, hanging out with his wife or girlfriend or whatever at the time. But he wasn't on top of the world as a big-time epic influencer, which everybody knows that's the most important thing about making content, is having millions of views and being really rich. That's like the thing that you have to, that's like the thing that makes it all worthwhile. So, you know, he was right though. The shame that plagued him from the edgy side of YouTube couldn't survive on the platform anymore. You can't say the N-word on YouTube. You could, I guess. Some people do. People have grown up. A lot of people have grown up, especially people who were watching those videos back then, and so many of his friends had already shifted their content into other things to fit in. The old idubbz was dead. A shadow of himself. He did the whole creator clash thing. That was pretty cool.
I mean, I get it's just not for me, not my type of humor, but is this really funny for anybody who's not a full-on child? Just make silly noises and loud gum chewing noises and throw your gum at the camera. It seems very little kiddish.
Dead. A shadow of himself. He did the whole creator clash thing. That was pretty cool. I think there's another one. What we do here is go back. Man, idubbz was dead basically until a couple days ago, April 16th, 2025, when an upload hit my homepage titled Content Cop. And the topic of the Content Cop was Ian's once friend, Ethan Klein, aka H3, old man, 2 kids, wife, old guy. Now, he's an old man now, pretty much. He's like an old guy. He looks like an old person. And he still makes videos on YouTube? Choo!
I think H3 does have like 10 years on idubbz, and it's crazy that he's been so much more able to keep up with the times and adapt his content and maintain an audience compared to idubbz, whereas idubbz has straight up said that he does not feel confident making content anymore. He doesn't know how to be entertaining to an audience anymore. Meanwhile, Ethan's just been going strong with his podcast the entire time.
Seems like fun.
My girl Katy Perry, for some reason, went to space with all of her girls?
Yeah.
Now, I was kind of interested when I saw this, not that much, to the point where I was like, oh, I gotta drop everything I'm doing and watch this video. I watched the beginning of it. I saw a bunch of memes on Twitter of him crying, so I tried to find that part to see what that was about. That was at the end.
You know, I also see the dynamic of Ethan and Elon. Like it's really hard to be a couple online.
I did one video about this content cop sort of stuff when Ethan found out about it, and the first thumbnail that I had did not really hit. It got like maybe 100 views or whatever. And then I switched it to a thumbnail with a screenshot of idubbz crying, and then it had over 1,000 views.
And see people attacking your partner, and it's like, okay, like if you come to their defense, if that doesn't always help them, right? Sometimes that makes it worse.
Oh, and the guy, he does scroll back up. It's messed up like this for a little bit, but he scrolls back up.
Worse for them.
From the start of the video, we get the classic content cop feel. It's Ian in a wife beater on his phone drinking a beer while watching a clip about Ethan.
Anybody who says any fucking thing, they will attempt to ruin their lives. And once again, I'm the crazy one.
We then see him look at his old police content cop uniform hung up, and there's a little montage of him training.
Hung up in the Airbnb when he hasn't done content cop for 7 or 8 years, as if that makes any sense. It's like, oh yeah, I haven't done this. I said I wasn't going to do it anymore. I said content cop was done, but for some reason it's hanging up in his Airbnb.
And it's him, you know, classic content cop style, rolling around, pretending to fight, put his costume on, smoking some cigarettes, and then running off into the distance. Classic stuff. That felt very authentic.
Did it feel very authentic? It felt like he was just doing this so that he could label it content cop. This did not feel authentic to me. I feel like that's what I've seen most people saying, is that this did not feel like content cop or old school idubbz at all. Just a weak attempt to do what he had to do so that he could call it a content cop and get more eyes on it. That's how it came across to me. But Caleb says it was authentic.
Then we get this amazing transition to Hasan Piker's stream. He begins to stare at the camera and tell Ethan to wake up.
Wake up, Ethan. Wake up, Ethan. Ethan, wake up.
Wakey, wakey, Ethan.
Wake up. That, by the way, was not an impression of Hasan. That was me doing an impression of Muhammad Wali, the famous Joe Biden. Wake up. Joe Biden, wake up. Every time I see 2 Yil, 6 month, 1 Yil, wake up, I just start doing an impression of Muhammad Wali. Or if I think that's his name, Muhammad Wali. I'm not really sure. He's my brother-in-law. I think he's Kurdish. He's a legend. He's a Kurdish legend.
We have a lot of other things to cover here, but I look to Dr. Sherwood. Are we moving?
Joe Biden, wake up.
Ian pops in, gets real close to the camera, and starts.
Oh, that was nice of him to share an unrelated meme that he enjoys with us.
Repeating the same phrase, then Denims, Frogan, and Sayanda Black appear, telling Ethan to wake up as well.
Ethan, the dumb is telling you to wake up.
Wake up, Ethan. Wake up.
Thank you, Royalty. It was driving me nuts. Even though I knew it came to an end, it was driving me nuts that we were scrolled down there.
Wake up, Ethan. Ethan, wake up. Wake up. Seems anyone? Just wake up.
Wake up.
Honestly, I'm not sure who these people are. I know Hasan, and I know Ian, but I don't know who Denim. I really don't know. Pardon my ignorance. I don't spend a crazy amount of time on the internet, believe it or not. I like to talk shit about, once again, people who are very obviously bad. You know, I like to play it safe, as they say. Wake up, wake up. It ends with
He likes to play it safe, and apparently this video wasn't safe enough, because he had to take it down.
them doing that fucking Fortnite dance with the L on their head. Oh, this part seriously was, it was a tough watch for me. I was like, where's the part where he's crying? And I want to see that part. I want to see that part. What's that about? How do you cry in this video? Seems interesting to cry about. The Fortnite dance, though, you know, tongue-in-cheek. It's the L, the dancing L. I thought the beef between Hasan and H3 was extremely serious. I didn't realize it was a Fortnite L dance worth. Joking beef. I wasn't sure about this. All these people are involved, and I have no fucking idea what's going on, so come on this ride with me. And then we get Ian describing Ethan and his podcast, his friend Ethan, talking about the guests he's had on, such as Trisha Paytas, Hasan, and more.
Ethan, as you know, is a content creator who has a podcast where he says all sorts of outrageous stuff. Sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's f***ed up. He's had shows with all sorts of different controversial characters. He's had a show with Trisha Paytas. He's had a show with Hasan Piker. In doing so, he's gathered a ton of different audiences. Now, in his podcast with Hasan, Leftovers, they would mostly talk about surface-level progressive shit and make fun of right-wingers.
Ian then compares Hasan's posts versus Ethan's, and their videos are insanely different.
It was mostly that until they actually had to reckon with a very serious topic. I would say that Hasan was very well equipped to
talk about that topic.
Palestinian people living in the West Bank are subject to these horrific conditions, horrific living conditions by the state of Israel, America's greatest ally and the only democracy in the Middle East, if you ask Republicans and even liberals.
Well, that's dancing invented was so kick-ass.
Israeli settlers are trying to evict Palestinian families in occupied East Jerusalem. The United Nations says that may be a war crime. It literally is.
I was just eating the toppings. And the pizza looked like a burn victim. It was all disgusting.
I don't know if you can make that joke in 2021.
Why?
It's insensitive to burn victims.
I think it's a good analogy. It's a powerful image.
Ian makes a pretty funny, powerful point by showing what Hasan talks about on a general basis, which is, you know, severe geopolitical issues, things like.
I mean, is that a powerful point? Just two random clips of each of them juxtaposed? You could literally do it the exact opposite way, effectively. You could go through and take two clips of Ethan talking about more serious stuff, and then put clips of Hasan being completely unserious, talking about how his mom makes his chicken tenders or whatever, or when he reacted to the JXE video and it's just his chair there for a third of the video. Is it really a powerful point? You could do it with basically any two creators in either direction.
Like the conflict in Israel and Palestine and Gaza, and then what Ethan talks about, which is like, you know, shit, I guess, just normal YouTube shit, normal drama shit, I suppose.
Ethan was obviously caught in this tricky situation where he is extremely sympathetic to the Israeli cause and what's happening to them. His wife's Israeli, she served in the IDF. He obviously likes the state of Israel. On the other hand, he's just got done capturing a massive progressive audience who are very politically savvy. They follow Hasan. Hasan is strictly a political streamer, so this is something they're very keyed into. So when they see Ethan say things that are just like not accurate and it's just propaganda, they're gonna call it out.
And I think that's probably a pretty good way to start the video, because it is very clear that one of these people is dialed in when it comes to serious talks, serious topics, and the ham-fisting of the world and politics, and then the other is ham-fisting drama and stuff. That's Ethan. That's Ethan.
This is where you can see what I think it was Chumbles was talking about. You just gotta take everything idubbz says at face value. Or yeah, well, apparently Hasan, he's always very serious and well read and well researched on all of this. Meanwhile, Hasan is the guy who said Russia will never invade Ukraine, no matter what. It will never happen. I'll eat my shoe if it happens. And then, oh, what do you know? Russia invades Ukraine. Ethan, just this bumbling drama buffoon, which. Sure, obviously Hasan is more politically inclined than Ethan. He spends more time in the politics stuff, but you're not going to convince me that Hasan is this arbiter of the truth of politics and he wades through all the nonsense and gets to the truth, all right? He like reads Twitter threads and reacts to other videos.
Is that, you know, so it's a big difference. Cool way to start the video. And then Ian talks about the purpose of this video, stating it's about all the bridges he's been burning, and lastly, burning the one with him.
In Ethan burning bridges with people until he burned the bridge with me. Since Ethan and Hasan's falling out, I've been keeping to myself mostly. I don't have many nice things to say. Maybe if Ethan's able to get some help, maybe if he stops harassing other creators, maybe if he does these things, eventually he'll find peace and we can like rekindle our friendship.
Because that's what Ethan has been doing a lot lately, is burning a lot of bridges. A lot of people online have been fucking burning bridges, dude. Holy shit, I didn't even know there were that many bridges out there. I didn't even know there was that many.
Meanwhile, idubbz has just burned the bridges with his fans, his audience.
Many bridges to burn. I think I might burn a bridge soon. What if I burnt the H3 and Ian idubbz bridge both in this video? Both of you guys, but like not really that.
Hell yeah, that was epic. So for it to be burning a bridge, doesn't there have to be some meaningful connection that already exists? Maybe Caleb has some sort of tenuous relationship with Ethan or Ian, but I don't think just because you blow up the potential of a relationship, I don't think that's burning a bridge.
I don't care. He then talks about his ex-editor and the horrible things he's tweeted, which he feels attributed towards the falling out between himself and Ethan.
I used to work with this video editor named Froggy Tonic. I discovered him because he was in the circles online that I was in. And one of those circles is an H3 fan. He watched Ethan's content, he liked Ethan's content, until he didn't like Ethan's content.
The user, Froggy Tonic, tweeted about how he doesn't like Hila and Ethan and their stance on Palestine.
Now, my former editor of a year and a half ago did say some truly mean shit. He called Hila the C word, he said they're trying to kill their dog with cheddar cheese, and a bunch of other shit, I'm sure. Ethan, at some point, discovers that idubbbz former editor says this horrendous shit about him and Hila.
Ian feels that all of this started within his community, feeding him politics and other things to enrage him into talking about them, specifically pointing out a specific user who seems to be at the head of all this farming.
Why is there so much work being put into discovering this guy on Twitter who's barely getting any interactions, linking him to me and posting on the Reddit, when there's no work being put into who the f is the person on the Reddit who's posting this in the first place? If you do a little...
What did royalty do to this video? I mean, it's illegible.
Being put into who the f is the person on the Reddit.
I mean, I know it says Icarus drowned because I've seen the video, but you can barely make that out.
Who's posting this in the first place. If you do a little bit of research, it seems like it's an account whose intention is to make Ethan crash out.
This person was always getting Ethan to crash out, specifically on his own Reddit, which is a real embarrassing job. Crashing out on Reddit is just incredible. If you're not responding to...
So, in his video, I'm pretty sure idubbz shows one post from Icarus drowned, and then he just shows a comment from some guy who says, oh, this used to be a guy who posted in the Destiny subreddit, but then he wiped his history, and he just makes posts to try and make Ethan crash out. But he just shows that one post, and Caleb is like, oh yeah, this guy, Icarus drowned, he's just constantly making Ethan crash out. It's not even that he doesn't know the context or that he's just going along with everything idubbbz says. He's souping up what idubbbz says here and making his points even stronger than they are in the video.
To serious posts with a picture of you looking old, what the f are you even doing on the internet? Do you actually care? For real? Like, genuinely? One user pointed this out and said that this is happening so much that others are starting to notice. It's becoming a thing. This was only the beginning of the very long content cop.
One of the users on the Snark Reddit points this out. They're like, I've seen this account before. This account has scraped its history, and it's now trying to make Ethan burn bridges. This is within Ethan's own community. Like, this is the thing that he needs to be critical of. It's not me.
And there's a lot more of Ian pointing out Ethan's supposed hypocrisy. It didn't really seem like to me watching it that Ian really wanted to make this. It was very light compared to all the other content cops, and Ian says...
Well, yeah, Yes. Caleb, obviously it's lighter than all the other content cops because Ian, like a year or two ago, came out and said that what content cop was completely malicious and nobody deserved it and he would never do it to anybody again. All right? Obviously it's going to be, if he just went and did the exact same thing with this content cop than he did with the others, he would be blown out even more than he is right now.
In the beginning of the video, that if he was told back in 2016 that he'd make this H3 content cop, he'd think he lost the plot, but it's actually Ethan who's lost the plot, resulting in this being made.
If I would imagine this in 2016, I would have been like, oh yeah, if I ever do that, it's gotta be because I lose the plot. Well, it turns out it's not me losing the plot, it's Ethan. He's the one who fucking attacked first.
Again, yeah, you could argue that, I suppose, right? I haven't really kept up with either I'm not sure. I want to know what you guys think, though, really genuinely. These are two former...
He does this so much in the video. Like, yeah, I don't know. You know, I can't really give an opinion on this. I don't have enough insight to know either way if this is true or not. But you should still watch my video. I'm still going to upload this to my millions of subscribers.
Friends, and it appears in the video that Ian is a bit bummed that this is where the friendship has ended up, and one of the big reasons is that Ian seems to feel like after the way Ethan has spoken about their history recently, that their friendship wasn't one born of mutual respect and appreciation for the other person, but rather a relationship of transactional exchange, which that makes sense for YouTubers. From what I know about YouTubers, that does make sense, especially ones that live in Los Angeles. No offense to anybody who lives in Los Angeles, but also full offense to everyone who lives in Los Angeles, especially YouTubers. This point of transactional exchange is first brought up almost 14 minutes into the video when Ian plays a clip from an H3 show where Ethan shares that he'd stood by Ian and Anissa more than anybody and uses that like it's a token to try and cash in on Ian's support. I stood by you, so you stand by me. You know, it's like you have to defend someone because they defended you, which I guess that's fair.
I probably done and stood by idubbz and Anissa more than anybody.
Do you think it's fair? Everything you said before that made it seem like you don't think that's fair.
I've stood by them when all the internet hated them.
I don't like that Ethan brought this up because it makes the relationship feel very transactional. Like, you know, we're just meant to support each other online despite our own personal morals or principles.
Ian doesn't seem to like the transactional element of that statement because they're two different people, if you weren't aware. Two different guys, different bodies, different minds, completely different people.
Okay, so yeah, he says, I think that seems fair or reasonable, and then just completely walks it back. No, it's not. And I said this in the last video I did about Ethan and Ian, but yeah, if you just view it like that, I can see how you think Ethan expects it to be transactional. But Ethan also supported creator clash when pretty much nobody else did. He defended Ian and Anissa at the time when the controversy first blew up. He also brought them onto his podcast later, defended them there as well. He had Ian over to his house multiple times, and then when Ethan straight up asks, "Hey, can you say that your editor is crazy?" Ian's like, "No, I'm not interested in doing that. I don't want to get involved, but I will go on my podcast and say you need therapy." So, yeah, if you just whittle it down to the one thing for one thing, I can see how you think it's transactional. But I think it's one of those things where Ethan felt like he was always giving and never got to take. He's like, wow, it's one time I asked for Ian to get me back, and he's not willing to do it. But, of course, Oompaville doesn't know any of the context, so he's just going to say, oh, yep, it's transactional. And also, if you want to say it's transactional, how about the fact that Ethan says, oh, I don't want to be friends with these guys anymore. They're no friends of mine. I don't want any halfway friends. And then Ian goes and revives the Content Cop series that he said was malicious and he should never do it right after that. So once Ian sees, oh, there's nothing to get out of this friendship with Ethan anymore, well, I might as well just nuke it and make a video on him and see what I can get from that. Would that not be transactional as well?
And the idea that you just stand beside someone because they stood beside you at some point is very, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. There's not a lot of merit to that, you know? They're just not on the same wavelength, though. I'm starting to kind of get the general idea that these people maybe aren't really that good of friends. Maybe it was all fake and lame and stupid and didn't actually ever exist from day one. And this is pickle brain.
I think Ethan thought it was real, but I do kind of agree here that, yeah, Ethan should have realized much sooner that it was not really a friendship anymore that he had with Ian. One of my biggest criticisms is that I don't think Ethan should have been as surprised as he was that Ian would do a Content Cop on him. I think it was weird how taken aback and blindsided he was by it.
Nonsense.
But everything else Caleb just said there, nonsense.
Due to the lack of public support from Ian, Ethan says that Ian is no friend of his.
But I'll say this, I don't think they're any friends of mine. And certainly I don't think they're any friends of mine based on the text conversation I had with them too before I even talked about it. So I have nothing. I don't need any halfway friends, man.
Seems like a bit of an overreaction because it's a very large, broad, divisive topic. But I also...
And then he says, oh yeah, that's an overreaction. Does he have any idea that the fake CPS call was involved? That Ethan and Hila were just visited by someone from CPS investigating whether or not they should be able to keep their kids? I mean, no wonder the dude took this video down.
Also understand the desire from Ethan to want to have supportive friends. That is incredibly important. But when you're friends with, when you got pickle brains, everyone in your friend circle is a bunch of pickle brains. Your network is your net worth, and you're just a jar of pickles. That's what the reality is when you're a content creator and influencer. Your network is your net worth. Me, when I'm surrounded by people smarter than me. Outside of how this man...
Is he saying he's surrounded by people smarter than him? Isn't this the guy that got scammed out of like tens of thousands of dollars of work for his candy company? I mean, I guess that guy would be smarter than Caleb if he was able to finesse him out of tens of thousands of dollars and not really provide any work. But I don't know if that's even necessarily what Caleb was saying there.
Manifests for Ian and Ethan. Personally, my big thing is realizing that your friends and specifically your family, you don't have to agree on everything with everybody. This Content Cop video is bumming me out, dude.
You don't have to agree on everything. Okay, yeah, but when it comes to CPS and people thinking that is or isn't okay and being willing to speak on that, probably a big enough deal to draw the line on your friendship there.
We need to get a Holy Relic interlude. Cheer everybody up, my friend. Did you come up with that yourself? What a positive message from the Holy Relic. Things are almost never black and white with the old adage, you're either with me or you're against me. That's a cliche, it's stupid. I've had instances in my life where friends and family are arguing on what food to eat, and then you just extrapolate that to anything, and as long as...
And this is the analogy that he goes to. Ethan was upset about CPS being called to his house, and Caleb's like, yeah, well, sometimes my family and I, we don't agree on what to get for dinner.
You're not directly involved in that situation, then it's no different to those things. You're either with me or against me. Well, conceptually, I feel differently about this theoretical hypothesis. Dude, shut up. Quit trying to be smart. You're not. You're just dumb. Shut up. How about you embrace being stupid? That's what people should do. Embrace stupidity and just enjoy your life. It seems like this is how Ian had felt. I'm not 100%.
Okay, well, if you want to say that and embrace stupidity, then why did you delete this video in 3 hours? Doesn't seem like you're really willing to embrace it. Seems like you're very much concerned with what people think about you. They think you're stupid. Oh, I better delete the video.
100% sure. I can't speak to how he felt. He made this video, so obviously things have changed for him. Maybe he had hoped that there was something that was positive that could have been taken from the ongoing conversation, but I suppose Ethan didn't react as Ian had hoped for in their private DMs, which is why now Ian is making an hour-long hit piece on his former friend. It's not really that big of a hit piece, though. It's not that big of a deal. It's a little bit ironic, too, because talking about transactional friendships, it seems like Ian has transacted through obvious decisions that have been made and you know, videos that have been posted. He's transacted out of the old friendships of Ethan, Hila, Max, and Chad, and now he has credited Hasan, Frogan, Denims, and other folks in the description, which to me that does seem like a transaction. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know the point of this video. Not the one that I'm making. None of them have a point. This one though, the content cop. Usually it's like really clear and obvious, but this is just so, I don't know what's going on.
Well, he is right that his videos don't have any point. I mean, I haven't seen very many other of his videos, but this one definitely didn't.
Just do this in DMs. It seems like this didn't need to be made, really. But it's very epic, though.
Okay. Yeah, it must just be like a Mr. Beast thing. This is for like Mr. Beast's target audience. This is really what he's doing.
There's a moment where that really highlights how nasty both sides are being in Ian's video, and that's when Ian points out that harassment is bad and he doesn't like that Ethan and Hila were being harassed, but that they were perpetuating it.
We had such a fair response to what you guys were going through. We don't support harassment. It's a bad thing, but it happens, and you're perpetuating it.
You fucking propagandist, lying scumbag, terrorist supporter. He probably sets up a mirror and jerks off watching himself. Dan K. Clancy has a similar view on there. Because Dan Clancy, the Nazi, fucking anti-Semite.
You can't expect other people to stop harassing you if you continue to harass people.
But then he says this inside an H3 content cop, which I just think there's no winning in this. I don't know the point of this video because there's no winning, and you're calling, like, there's a lot of calling out of hypocrisy, but everyone's always hypocritical. If you're speaking and you're critiquing things and you're judging people, you're always going to be hypocritical, no matter what. Like, it's not possible to not do that. So there's like escalation and harassment and and then the middle fit, like.
Okay, I can give Caleb a little bit of a point here. Yeah, hypocrisy can be funny to point out, but it's not really all that meaningful of a point because you could sit there and say day after day, people who wear green shirts are bad. People who wear green shirts are terrible. I would never wear a green shirt. And then I wear a green shirt. Sure, it might be funny to put those clips next to each other, but it doesn't actually mean that suddenly I'm a bad person for wearing a green shirt.
I don't know,
Trying to be fair. It really gotta nitpick to find any points of agreement with this Caleb guy, but I'm trying.
Yeah. Big day for the unemployed. So yeah, talking about the harassment thing and then Ian being the one putting out.
Okay, and then again, he does this stuff where he's like, yeah, I'm too offline. I'm too much of a real life Chad for any of this stuff. But I am going to upload a video about it, and then as soon as I get any pushback from people on the internet, I'm going to delete the video.
An hour-long hit piece on Ethan and Hila, where then he joins the hive of the side of the people who hate Ethan the most. I have kind of gotten the idea that maybe Ethan hates Hasan a lot more than Hasan hates Ethan, but I only watched Ethan's video on Hasan. I didn't really watch any Hasan stuff, so I'm so washed up on this shit, dude.
Wait, so he did watch Ethan's video on Hasan? And he just seemingly doesn't know any of the CPS stuff or anything?
I don't know, but the dancing in the middle, wake up! I mean, this is like, it's just so odd. This is such an odd, I don't know, it's very YouTube. It's very YouTube. I will say it does suck being harassed a lot on the internet, and being a couple must be really difficult being on the internet. Ethan and Hila just getting harassed, having kids and stuff. It isn't a world or a culture that really does well about getting along. Nothing about it is good. Nobody ever gets along. And if you're like a Ian and you have an Anissa and there's like a very big divisive thing and the audiences don't match, and then, you know, your whole audience shits on your wife all the time, it's gotta red pill you, you know? It's gotta red pill you massively. And then now people shitting on Ian.
Well, it had like the exact opposite on idubbz. He's opposite of red pill.
Red pills Ethan. It's just like the same thing, but just different. But it is tough having a public relationship of two creators, I guess, online, if you care that much. And this whole thing just makes me real sad. Let's move on to the button. the button part.
Ethan got this button, or kill switch, as a response to the controversy with Cutie Cinderella. He was not able to control himself in that moment, and instead of figuring out how he can change his behavior, he spent $20,000.
Dan and Ela were like, we would kill button that right now if we could. I can't change who I am.
I know. That's why the kill button is on its way.
That's it. See, exactly.
I do think this part is very funny, and I've always wondered what this whole button thing is, because I've seen it in clips before where Ethan will talk about something on his show, and there's a button where he'll be talking, and then the button plays music, and he gets cut off, and he gets bleeped and shit.
So after 10, I'm going to be saying a ton of racial slurs and super racist jokes and homophobic stuff as well.
He's not actually going to do it.
Well, they will know.
Release. You were supposed to hit it on 30. They'll be seeing this.
Let's see what happens. Oh, they see this?
And Ian in the Content Cop speaks on the fact that Ethan is so immature, he needs an actual physical button to cut him off when he says something controversial, insensitive, or when he's just entirely wrong, I guess. And it points to his apparent inability to control himself when he's speaking. And that is after going on a problematic tirade that could ruin the flow of his show or just get him completely canceled. I don't know, dude.
He uses the button for everything. If his jokes don't land, he's hitting the button.
It was being presented as if this... The Jordan crying thing?
I hit the button.
Why?
I don't think I needed to, but you guys were giving me crickets, so I panicked.
If he's insecure about getting something...
I still can't believe idubbz put that in there. Like, that just makes Ethan look funny. Like, he hit the button because his joke didn't land. That's just funny. But that we're supposed to use that as substance for his critique that the button is bad. Which, I mean, the whole button argument is just completely stupid anyway, but...
something wrong, he's hitting the button.
But, okay. What? Button for that? What on this frame could Ethan have responded to? Perhaps the country flag that he got wrong? Maybe. I don't know.
If he goes on a problematic tirade, he's hitting the button.
Before, look how sad. But yeah, it's not just that. Like, their eyes are like big. I think you guys are wrong on this one.
I think the button's a great idea. I think we should get a button. I think we ought to have a button for the channel. We ought to have a button. I kind of have a button, to be honest. Scroll down. It's called a lot of editors. Ian says that Ethan has a physical button because he doesn't use his mental button.
Okay, fair enough. See, that's another reason why I think it's stupid of idubbz to critique the button when he does an edited video. It's like, well, yeah, you get to do a button with unlimited time when you make an edited video.
Which is insane. I really don't know the point of having a physical button while you're on a show. I mean, even Howard Stern didn't have...
Okay, but then he says doesn't understand the point on a live show? What? And maybe Howard Stern didn't have a button. I don't know, and I was never really a fan of Howard Stern. But Opie and Anthony had a button. They were bigger than Howard Stern a couple years, and they were second to him the rest.
I don't know the point of having a physical button while you're on a show. I mean, even Howard Stern didn't have a physical button, really. Do these people have physical buttons? Like, okay, don't say the F word, or whatever, when you're on live and stuff. Bleep it out. Oh, beep, 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 beep. But they cut some shit out that is just very obviously wild and insane. And they're live on YouTube, and I don't know. I don't know. It's an odd thing that we were able to witness.
Everybody's familiar with it on a level. I mean, it's a dump switch. It's what prevents people if they curse on broadcast television or something, so that they don't get banned or fined by the FCC.
So we're gonna implement that. Is everyone gonna have a dump button?
No, it'll just be me, and I actually think that you should have one.
The point is that Ethan's mental button doesn't work, so he uses his physical button, which is crazy. And I guess what makes it worse is that this is a normal thing in his community.
So he's just buying into idubbz criticism that the button, that's a good critique, even though he said he has editors for his videos. I really don't understand the people who think this button is a meaningful critique. I would much rather listen to somebody who isn't constantly filtering themselves for their entire broadcast, and if for a little bit they say something that they don't want to go live, they hit the button, and then they can be unfiltered for the whole show, versus somebody filters themselves for the entire broadcast and just is lame and unentertaining and doesn't have a button. Really, that's what you want. Just a bunch of people who are constantly walking on eggshells, being very careful not to say anything button-worthy because they don't have a button. How boring. But Caleb is down with that, even though he just said he has his own button in the form of video editors.
Ian talks about his tirades and that he himself calls it goblin mode.
The H3 community and Ethan himself use the phrase goblin mode all the time to excuse a lot of his shitty behavior or make it seem less bad.
I've been diagnosed with goblin mode, actually.
By claiming that what happens is he just gets into this like uncontrolled state he refers to as goblin mode.
I do not call myself goblin mode.
Yeah, oh, yeah, that's what you did.
Goblin mode? Is that what you're calling Tourette's now?
And this mode allows him to push away any feelings about doing something bad into a silly little name. Him going goblin mode, aka being childish and erratic.
To all victims members of Goblin Mode, I would like to issue an apology.
You are Goblin Mode today. You're Goblin Mode. Look how many times you paused.
I'm trying, bro.
And I don't think there's no room for using the term goblin mode. I like the idea that you're defending yourself and the little guy by going goblin mode when a big corporation or a big entity is trying to attack you.
Like, if you f me over, if you steal money from me, if you patronize me, if you do any of this shit like you're trying to do to me, to treat me like a fucking idiot, I'm crazy, dude. I've gone fucking goblin mode over way less.
But you not thinking about what you're saying, not, you know, reflecting on your behavior, not changing your behavior, that's not goblin mode. That's being a child.
Ian says he feels bad for the crew that works with Ethan due to where they sit. They're trapped behind having to nearly agree with Ethan at all times, and they are also...
Okay, surely Caleb is not just going to eat up this stuff after all of his talk of what an offline IRL guy he is, right? Surely he's not just going to feed into all the unemployed narratives of what an evil slave master Ethan is, right? Because he spent so much time justifying taking down his video and not knowing enough context by saying he's living his real life with his wife and his friends and family. Surely he's not just going to eat this up from Ian, right?
Also, at his whim.
The one time the button didn't work and we listened to how he spoke to AB without thinking that the internet was going to hear it, it was rude, it was nasty, and it didn't have this caveat of like, I'm not mad at you. It was anger, and it was uncalled for.
One time the button didn't work and we got to hear the harsh behind the scenes of how one of his employees was treated, which that is really
harsh behind the scenes. Okay, so that's not looking good. It's looking like he's going to go with the unemployed narrative.
really odd. I don't get that. Ethan certainly seems like he's off the rails and should draw that back in. You know, when the button didn't work, we could hear the entire conversation. A little bit of a scary bad boss moment. Real bad boss moment.
Scary. It was scary.
Deserves a bit of an ass whooping. Bit of an ass whooping. Just gonna say it.
Use they get access to cover most of it.
We're doing it.
What are you
It's
doing?
so awkward and terrible.
I'm sorry, I'm not.
Just like, this is what I'm talking about when it's always like...
We need to get home for our kids.
It's like, bro...
Oh, no, I didn't want to finish it right now. I just talking about finishing Wednesday.
On Friday, maybe. Is it? You guys, like...
All right, I'm taking my hand up.
Oh, yeah.
What? Okay, well...
I heard all that.
Thanks, button.
And he didn't want to take a...
That was scary. And Ethan needs to get beaten up for that. I mean, truly, unless you've never had a job, I don't know how that can be your reaction to that. I've had, what, 1,000 interactions like that at work, and I forgot about it by the end of the day every time. Been on both ends of it, and I forget about it by the end of the day. Wow, that is insane. With all of his talk of what an offline person he is, living his life with his friends and family, and he doesn't have time to get into this useless online drama. And then he's just gonna absolutely hook, line, and sinker. idubbz is completely right about what an evil boss Ethan is. That's insane. That is absolutely insane to me.
accountability for it. He immediately wanted to deflect and he wanted to say that the button f***ed him.
First of all, I appreciate the hard work.
I know you do.
And I loved it, and I really enjoy it. But it's like every time we do it, it's like the show is what it is, and
I know.
It makes it.
I was being selfish.
No, dude, that button f***ed me, dude. Can you imagine that button f***ing me over like that?
The button f***ed you? AB f***ed you? Who f***ed you? You f***ed yourself.
AB, Abdullah Ayad. He got the short end of the stick. AB Starkiller. I think that's his name. That is so funny, though. That really is a very funny, weird... Imagine if I was like that. I'm not like that, am I, John? Tell them. I do feel bad for AB. He seems like a nice guy, and the whole team and stuff. And they just seem like... I don't know. They just seem stressed out. I've always wondered why Ethan keeps...
You feel bad for him. Truly, nobody has gone into a job with more of an idea of what the work environment will be like than the people who signed up to work for the H3 podcast. They literally broadcast what your job will be like for multiple hours a week. And these people could quit at any time if they wanted to, all right? But nope, we're going to act like they're being whipped day in and day out.
Keeps on doing this stuff. He seems so stressed out all the time. Ian also talks about the whole Israel and Palestine Ethan video and brings up how Ethan shits on Lebanon. Some of his employees are Lebanese.
Also, let's talk about AB and Lena, 2 Lebanese employees. And you just continue to talk about the conflict like they don't exist. It would be nicer.
Okay. Does Ian even say that Ethan craps on Lebanon? This is another one. Caleb is not only going along with whatever idubbz says, but he's zhuzhing it up. I don't think even Ian says that Ethan craps on Lebanon, but Caleb says that Ethan does.
A lot nicer for you to shut the up about it.
Then he goes on to talk about Ethan's demon mode, which is like goblin mode on Fent. It's just him.
Okay, yeah, that was the whole thing. So maybe somehow I missed that. Ian says Ethan crapped on Lebanon. I don't think he did. I think Caleb just pulled that out of nowhere.
Being straight up evil, he does attack people pretty evilly in some instances.
We're all familiar with goblin mode. Well, Ethan debuted a new mode recently.
And by the way, my ratio is pretty good. Like, I'm looking at like 20 goblin modes to 1 too far. Demon mode, let's call it.
Yeah, demon mode. They do go too far with making fun of. A lot of people make fun of people. I just feel guilty. I feel guilty making fun of people a lot. Unless they're stupid idiots like Vitali or the other stupid idiots we talk about. I like Raz is good. I like Raz, but demon mode's bad. This point is really good. Ethan used to be kind of the underdog who.
Okay, so is that why you try to pretend to be even killed and, oh, I can see both sides of it, but you're basically just taking Ian's side the whole way anyway?
Had the internet rally against him. He was sued and he won, and that's like why so many people love Ethan. Originally loved Ethan, started to love H3, but now he is in demon mode quite a bit. It is sad to see. He also repeatedly plays victim and says that he is the victim of contextless slander, but then goes on to contextlessly slander people repeatedly. For example, like the CEO of Twitch.
I'd never want to sue someone for defamation, but like at what point do you kind of fucking have to? I mean, this is like basically someone calling you a pedophile. Be like, yeah, no, Ethan's a pedophile.
Dan Clancy or whatever, like the CEO of Twitch, and being
Pedophile. Dan Clancy has a similar view on because Dan Clancy, the Nazi, anti-Semite.
He also calls people pedophiles and that type of shit and other just, pedo jacketing.
There are certain things you can accuse people of that rise above to make it like actionable, which is like wrong.
So I'm assuming Caleb doesn't know that Ethan instantly, like the next sentence, walked that back and said, I don't have enough information to actually say that. I'm just going based off of how he looks.
Accusing someone of being a pedophile, a sex criminal, a murderer, shit like that. Dan Clancy now, in other words, he is a pedophile.
You have so much less to go off of saying that than anybody has about
based
Dream.
on his looks. Just on
Okay, at least that's in here.
Just based on his
Well, at least you're self-aware.
That's 100% a joke. I have no evidence to conclude that he is.
One of the more notable legal threats that Ethan has sent out recently is against
Is Caleb going to comment on that, though, or just no?
Noah Samson.
I have nothing but vibes to gain, and potentially your money as well. Don't worry if you don't have it all now. I'll garnish your wages. You're going to be living with your parents for a lot longer, buddy.
That's a very funny joke. That's a very funny joke. Saying someone is a pedophile based on their looks. That is a funny joke off camera in the privacy of your own home. Even then, it's not that funny. No one's there. That's a bad joke. That is a really, 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 that is an alarming level of hypocrisy. Off the rails hypocrisy there. This is probably the most clear and concise part of the whole video, I'd say. Ian goes from discussing the button heavily to then discussing.
I mean, yes, I just don't want to hear any joke criticism from this guy who stuck his fingers in his mouth and wagged his tongue around for 5 seconds straight.
H3 shift from owning libfart SJWs to becoming a libfart SJW himself.
Now let's talk about the left-leaning Democrat.
He presents himself as someone like me, a left-leaning Democrat who supports basic things.
And the fact that as Ethan has made more and more podcast content, his videos have become increasingly political, and like the line between just goofy nonsense and political, just all of it's nonsense. It's caused a very volatile audience. And the main point of this section of the video that Ian is trying to get across is that Ethan's stances on the Israel-Palestine conflict and other related topics, they seem clear on the surface, but if you dig deeper, they tend to be very inconsistent, which is classic human behavior. People are very inconsistent and hypocritical. We get an example of this when Hasan suggests that since Ethan is so upset that Hasan is commenting on the politics of Israel, Hasan tells Ethan to debate Sam Cedar, who is a Jewish man, but an anti-Zionist. I'm not going to explain to you guys what any of that shit means. Look it up yourself. I don't want to talk about Zionism in my video. This beautiful, fun video I'm making right now.
Oh, yeah, and you seem opposed to explaining anything that isn't explicitly said in a video anyway. Or you need it spoon-fed to you, apparently.
Now it's so good and high quality.
The thing that made me start to question Ethan's intentions is that when he was suggested to talk to Sam Cedar, a fellow progressive, a guy that Ethan respects and looks up to.
He works with Sam Cedar at the Majority Report. I respect him and what they do there.
Ethan then goes on to suggest that it would be racist to debate another Jewish person whom he has publicly shown support for but doesn't share the same beliefs on Israeli politics, that is the stance of Zionism, I suppose.
Okay, does he say it's racist? Maybe he does. But I feel like what Ethan says is it's a little bit condescending. To say, hey, look, Ethan, I know you're a Jew and you think you have your own opinion about this sort of stuff, but you're wrong, all right? And you just need to go and talk to one of the correct Jews so you can have the correct Jew opinion. Maybe Ethan does say that it's racist. I don't remember everything he said about it. I mean, I haven't seen everything that he said about it, but from what I have seen, that's been the bulk of Ethan's pushback against that.
He kept saying that it was racist or anti-Semitic to suggest that he talked to someone who's within the same ethnic group as him.
That's why I said yesterday, like, I urge Ethan to talk to Sam Cedar. There are very thoughtful, very kind, anti-Zionist Jews out there that he could talk to. I don't think that I will be able to reach him.
What's the insinuation that I only listen to other Jewish people? You need to talk to my pre-approved list of Jews that like agree with me on everything. You know, it doesn't matter if they're Jewish, dude. It doesn't matter if they're f***ing Jewish.
This is where we can also see some hypocrisy surrounding Ethan's politics. On one hand, Ethan will say that it doesn't matter if someone is Jewish for him to debate him or speak on Israel, but then he will flip the script at a moment's notice and say that he won't take any opinions from someone who isn't Jewish, which is a fucking crazy thing to say.
I think most Jews.
I don't think Jews at large view it. I don't think that is the.
In what position are you to even say that?
It's not motivated by myself. It's motivated by Jews against anti-Zionist Jews.
Seriously, how can you speak for my entire ethnic group? I find that really interesting.
Within the same conversation, Ethan flips back and forth saying it doesn't matter if someone is Jewish, only to follow it with a voice of authority for all Jewish people.
That's the reason why it'd be better served to have this conversation not with myself, but with an anti-Zionist Jewish person.
Why does it matter if they're Jewish?
Because I'm not Jewish, and you've said in this conversation that, like, how can you tell me how to feel about the situation?
Yeah, but how is one person a representative of Jews at large? I'm just telling you how Jewish people around the world interpret that phrase.
So yes, Ethan, on occasion you might be suggested to talk to someone who has some crossover with you. It doesn't have to be your ethnicity. It could possibly be someone who shares progressive ideology with you. It could possibly be...
But Hasan said it was because Sam Cedar is an anti-Zionist Jew.
Be someone who is of your same gender.
It's kind of strange. Sam Cedar is not the only anti-Zionist.
Okay, and yeah, I'm gonna give Caleb a chance. He's gonna push back against it because earlier he said that hypocrisy is kind of dumb. Everybody is hypocritical, and that's what Ethan just did there was some hypocrisy. He said it does matter and it doesn't matter whether or not you're a Jew commenting on this stuff. Or is he just going to go along with idubbz and say great criticism, even though earlier in this same video he said everybody does hypocrisy and it's dumb?
Zionist Jewish person that Ethan doesn't like. He also has beef with Matt Lib, who is currently a producer for Good Mythical Morning, and since the most recent Israel-Palestine conflict has broken out, Matt has been very active online in support of Palestine, and since Ethan regularly speaks on behalf of all Jewish people, including Zionists and anti-Zionists, Ethan and Hila get upset at Matt for saying that one state doesn't represent all Jews.
When Ethan and Hila are watching Matt Lieb saying that one state doesn't represent all Jews, they cannot wrap their heads around the idea.
No single person represents all Jews.
I'm just telling you how Jewish people around the world interpret that phrase.
No single person represents all Jews, as no single state represents all Jews.
This is another weird thing.
Oh
Israel
my God. He takes this argument a bit too literally by saying that Israel never officially stated that it as a country represents all Jews and pretends not to understand what Matt is saying. Hence, it fits his narrative and he's able to use it as a defense for when people say that Jewishness equals Zionist.
Ethan is being so disingenuous here to suggest that he doesn't understand what Matt Lieb is saying. Like, like he's making a semantic argument. Like, I don't think Israel has said that it represents every last Jew on the planet. I don't think Israel has claimed that. They're not going to say that their most genocidal behavior represents anything to do with them, okay? But what they are going to do is they're going to inexplicably link Israel and Jewishness together, so when they're being criticized, all of a sudden they have the perfect defense.
So yeah, there's like a lot of high-level strategy and debate and argument and understanding of ethnicities and Jewishness in this video. I just don't know a lot about it. You know, it keeps going though. Ethan then.
Really, how many times in this video he said, I don't know. I don't know why you guys would even bother watching my video, because I have nothing of value to say on this. And it'd be one thing if he said that throughout the video, and then when people pushed back and said, hey, you shouldn't have done this video if you don't know anything outside of what idubbz said here, and he said, I don't care, and kept it up. But no, he says, I don't know, as if it's a funny joke throughout the video over and over again. And then when people push back and say, hey, you don't know enough about this, then he deletes the video.
And says that he didn't know Hasan was a super leftist. How could you not know that Hasan is he did a show with Hasan for 61 episodes.
I mean, I thought we were social democrats.
Yeah, this is another one of the points. I don't understand how Ethan was like, whoa, what? You're further left? Crazy that Ethan didn't pick up on this. And I mean, obviously he found it for the content nuke that he did, where Hasan says that he hides his power level. I just don't understand how he didn't pick up on any of it sooner.
Democrats, not whatever this was. This comment from Hasan really started to sound some alarms in my head. I was already getting uncomfortable with our partnership. I started to wonder if I had any idea who this guy actually is.
Only when they got to the topic of Israel did Ethan supposedly realize how leftist Hasan actually was, which I don't even know if that's what even that means. What does that even mean, dude?
You made how many episodes with Hasan? Like, this guy made a fucking program with the biggest mega leftist on the platform. Now he's acting like he was tricked and he was incapable of figuring out what this guy's beliefs were.
He did a content nuke and I didn't cover it because it's just fucking crazy, dude. The final section of this video is when Ian highlights that around.
Okay, so he doesn't cover it, but he did watch it at least. I think that's what he said earlier.
2 years ago, Ethan was in controversy for laughing at Cutie Cinderella's live stream of her crying about people using her face to make AI porn, which is so fucked up.
Why? Why?
Like, it is messed up. And I can totally understand why Cutie Cinderella would be freaked out by this and hate it and want it taken down and all that sort of stuff. It's just such an overwrought reaction. And I think she literally says, "This is what pain looks like." It's like, okay. Is that really what it is? Is that you get to make a living doing content creation, and because of that, there's a lot of people that watch you and want to see you in some AI prawn video? That's what pain looks like? I think pain is like working in a mine 12 hours a day from childhood. I think that would be more so what pain is.
What is going on with you?
I'm sorry, don't mind me.
If you were able to look at women who are not selling themselves or benefiting off of being seen sexually.
This got him into a ton of trouble as people online saw this as a very insensitive thing to do, so Ethan later posted an apology saying he was sorry for laughing.
Hello, everybody. I wanted to come here and discuss the situation with Cutie Cinderella. I didn't really have a good opportunity to discuss it on the podcast, and I did want to say something publicly about it. So forgive me for putting it on this channel. I'll probably also talk about it on Thursday and Friday, but I just want to kind of discuss it with you guys.
But then another YouTube channel called Psychology in Seattle, ran by a psychologist, a guy named Kirk Honda, graded Ethan's apology for any signs of psychopathy and rated it an A+, meaning that he got the highest non-psychopathic grade.
I gotta give him an A+, right? Now, everything depends on Cutie Cinderella's reaction to this, but in terms of a public apology, this is A+.
Ethan couldn't go without the world knowing that he got a 10 out of 10 rating, so he repeatedly flaunted it, which made him look psychopathic in spite of the non-psychopathic rating.
Ethan won't...
It made him look psychopathic? I mean, every time I've seen Ethan bring it up, it's like a joke. He brings it up as a joke that he got a perfect apology. You could even tell when he found out about idubbz video, and he's like upset at everybody that was in the credits, but then he finds out that idubbz tried to get Kirk to downgrade his grade, and he's like, legend. Like he's joking. He's not serious. But no, it's psychopathic, according to Caleb, that he would bring it up.
Stop talking about his A+ rating.
You know he rated my apology to Cutie Cinderella a perfect score? A perfect 10.
A perfect 10 out of 10?
Literally 10 out of 10. Go back. I can teach you how to make a
Right.
good apology. I'm the
Right,
best
10 out of 10.
I know what a perfect apology is, lady. You f***ing don't. Is my perfect apology?
Wait, we're supposed to be taking this serious? Like, Ethan really thinks he's the authority on apologies.
In this PowerPoint? Dude, I got a perfect 10 out of 10. This one is actually best apology, so. Ethan, Klein, you guys, oh my God.
Because of this, Ian wanted to try and make an impact on Ethan in ways other than just canceling him, so he went to Seattle and met up with Dr. Honda. Genius! And he tried to convince him to change his apology grading since Ethan clearly held it in such high regard.
Xander! Probably get pretty low marks. Unlike me, perfect score, 10. I said, hey, Lud, no big drama. Why are you such a spineless coward of a person now that you've inserted yourself and your girlfriend into this conversation?
Okay, idubbz, I hear you. You're in the room with me right now. I hear you. I hear your request. I understand it. I can understand where it's coming from. And I guess have a policy that when there is a grade for an apology, I am just grading that discrete apology as I see it without taking any consideration of prior or future behavior. If you're wanting me to comment on the overall behavior or the recent behavior from the clips that you have shown me, I believe that Ethan is a good person and that eventually he will feel sorrow and will feel sorry and will apologize, and I will be there to evaluate that apology when it happens, which I know it will.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks! Ian said that he would personally grade him at a B-, which is not that much different than an A+.
Anyone can have their own official apology rating system, so I'm going to rate Ethan's apology a B-. That's just based on my own feelings and my own rubric.
And while the psychologist rating didn't change, Ian wanted to make sure that some kind of impact was felt and insists that while Ethan is deserving of all the criticism, he is also a human. And so he got Ethan's biggest haters to come together and say nice and admirable things about him instead of just sending hate.
I have challenged some of his most powerful haters.
And are we going to pretend like this means anything? And it wasn't just some contrived attempt to make it appear as if idubbz wasn't doing the Content Cop series that he condemned and said was malicious and nobody deserved, or just be like, oh yeah, no, and he did this great segment where he had his haters say nice things about him.
To put down the haterade and just say something nice and charitable about him because I think he deserves it.
I just wanted to say that I respect that you are genuinely yourself on the internet. I think a lot of other people respect you for it as well. I think that's a big reason why people were drawn to your content in the first place. I think that's a lot of the reason why your employees chose to work with you over anyone else.
Ethan, I think it's respectable that you even began this journey to leave behind the anti-SJW crowd and step into a more empathetic worldview. I know it's not easy.
Ethan Klein, I think that when you are being goofy, when you're being silly, when you are being lighthearted, and just having fun with your friends, I think that is when you're at your best. So I'd love to see more of that.
I kind of like that. I kind of like everybody.
Okay, he likes it. Wow, yeah. That was great. That was great.
Being real shitty and then just being real nice. You know, starting off with a Fortnite L and then ending with a big ups. Big ups, Chinese takeout. This is the part in the video where there is Ian crying, which, I don't know, that's an odd one for me. That's an odd one to me. It's like very in touch.
It's really hard to be a couple online.
I don't understand the putting the crying in your videos. All right, I'm all down with the guys should be more able to show their emotions and that sort of stuff. I just don't think you need to broadcast it, especially in an edited video. You know, it's a little bit more understandable if it's in a live stream. Still not really down with that, but especially in an edited video. Like this is a thing you do in the privacy of your home with a friend or a family member or something.
And see people attacking your partner, and it's like, okay, like if you come to their defense, if that doesn't always help them, right? Sometimes that makes it worse for them.
There's no way ever in a million years that a psychologist or therapist could get me to do anything but throw hands against them, all right? I would never open up. So very alien to me watching this, you know, because I'm such an incredibly masculine man. So yeah, the rest of the elements of the Content Cop were fairly similar to how they used to be. It was definitely a bit more punches pulled. It wasn't as mean as it used to be, but that thing at the end is definitely very different. That's very different. You know, everyone coming together and saying positive things about someone. That's kind of an interesting way to look at it, kind of an interesting way to do it. I'm excited to see H3's final response to all.
Is it interesting? I just find it so obnoxious and a desperate attempt to make it look like, oh no, this isn't Content Cop in the way that it was, guys. This isn't just an hour of me talking crap about somebody, because there's 3 minutes of people saying one nice thing about the guy.
All this stuff. The audience reception to this has been 50-50, nearly 50-50. People are excited to see idubbz swinging. A fucking lot of people hate H3 nowadays, like everybody. A lot of people are kind of coming together on that. A lot of people hate idubbz too. So yeah, the top comments seem to be pretty happy with the video. You've got this one. Thank you, idubbz, for hosting our high school reunion in your comment section. This was really nice to see everyone again. Last Content Cop, I was an edgy middle schooler who didn't know what they wanted to do. I now work in corporate with no college experience. Time has flown by. That's just sad. It just sounds terrible. On Twitter, the response drastically different. People don't really like it at all.
You can shit equally on everybody in this video in a manner that is the same as this or more, and make a better nuke than whatever this is.
idubbz has been reduced to a Hasan Dingleberry, which is kind of funny. Yeah, it was certainly interesting. It was certainly interesting. It was a tough watch. It was a tough watch. It was a really hard watch. It didn't seem like there was a lot of a point to it. I didn't really like it. To me, it seemed like this meme. Coughing baby versus coughing baby. I thought that was really funny. There's a lot of jokes. There's also some fair criticism. I don't know who a lot of the people who were named in the comments before, but apparently Denims, I don't know if this is true. I'm not gonna fact check it, but this seems like a really weird world.
Oh, really? You're not gonna fact check? That doesn't seem like you, Caleb. You really struck me as the fact checking type of guy.
Brandon, my friend Brandon Buckingham, doesn't seem to like idubbz maybe, or maybe he does. I don't know. I don't know the. I was here when I was sitting beside him when he tweeted this though. I was sitting right beside Brandon when he tweeted this picture of idubbz crying. 25,000 likes. Holy f. Oh, and then Ethan found out that the content cop dropped while he was live, and he's just like malding and screaming, "What did I do to deserve this? What did I do to deserve this? How did I deserve this? There's no shot of any of this video holding water." Then he circles back. It's just bad, man. Ethan doubts any criticism. I'm excited to see his response to it.
Like, what? Why? What did I do to like fucking...
I mean, it's bad how shocked he was, but I don't really agree with the rest of that description.
Like, what kind of fucking, like, bro, what kind of cowardly bullshit is this? Like, we have one disagreement where I get upset because you guys aren't defending me publicly after everything I've done to support you guys, and like you bring on people who are fucking Denims and Frogan, who did a fucking anti-Semitic tier list, and you're platforming them and co-signing them. And by the way, to even make it even more crazy, Lena's fighting in your fight, bro. Like, what the fuck are you doing? I actually can't believe that he did this.
My overall opinion is that both of these people do not seem smart to me watching the video. Having watched what I do watch, I don't think they're bad people, to be honest. I'm not gonna say that anybody's a bad person unless they're a true piece of shit like Johnny Somali or Vitaly. These people do not seem smart though. I will be completely honest with you. These are not politically intelligent people, it seems. These are people very in touch with their...
See, he does this stuff throughout the video where he tries to act like, oh yeah, I can see both sides, and both sides I have criticism for. They're both dumb losers or whatever. But throughout the whole video, he acts like everything idubbz says has way more merit. And then just seemingly, it seems like maybe he did know about the CPS stuff, but he didn't really factor it into his assessment of this at all. So I'm not sure if he actually did know about it or not. It seemed like he did at one point with a comment he said. I don't remember what it was, but it seemed like maybe he did. But it's very annoying. Just, yeah, I don't know. I don't know any of this. I'm just on the fence here, guys, totally. But then gives credence to everything idubbz says and even zhuzhes some of it up and makes it more like Ethan says he hates Lebanon and stuff. Ian didn't even say that.
Feelings from both sides. Nothing wrong with that, I guess, if you want to not approach things from a sort of a rational perspective. But what do I know? I'm also a very dumb person, but I wouldn't recommend anyone learn from any of this. Do not watch these people. Do not become like these people. You know, if you think that idubbz is the same, he's the same guy who made all the content a long time ago, just now, and things have changed. Same guy, though. You can definitely become better, and you can definitely become a lot smarter, but still the same level of emotionality on a different wavelength. It seems like, and same thing with H3. It's just the same thing, but now he's not the underdog anymore. People suck, people are terrible, and they're lame, and you should go outside and read books, and yeah. Take your vitamins and stuff, and not worry too much about this shit. So anyways, thanks for watching.
Okay, well, yeah, I definitely see why he took that video down. That was a complete waste of time for anybody to have watched. Way more so than just watching idubbz video. Obviously, all of this is YouTube drama, so it's a waste of your time on some level. But at least it can be entertaining. I don't know what you possibly would have gotten out of that video. He just sort of lazily summarized it and acted like everything idubbz said had more merit than what H3 said. And I don't have a problem if you agree more with idubbz on this. If you have more context, if you've followed this sort of stuff and you think Ian's more in the right, fair enough. But the whole video, he says, I don't know any of the stuff that led up to this. Is it a back and forth who started it? I don't know. I'm hanging out with my wife all the time. I have no idea. So that's why that's annoying. If you follow this stuff and you think Ian's more in the right than Ethan, fair enough. I have no problem with that. Obviously, I lean more on Ethan's side, but I follow this stuff, right? And so I have a little bit more context of what goes into this stuff that can form my own opinion. But he has none of this, and he does a 50-minute video summing it up and just going along with Ian the whole time. Yeah. No wonder he deleted that video. I think there are a couple comments on here. Obviously, this is not Caleb's video, but most of the people who sought this out would be his viewers. So we got thanks. I've been looking so hard for this. In the light of not knowing much or wanting to say much about specifics, it's not the worst take. Bashful sides I can vibe with, but with context, this does fall apart. Thanks for hosting this lost media. At least him deleting this shows he's not 100% brain dead, just brain dead enough to make it and post it in the first place. Beautifully said, Griffin. Beautifully said. Lamau, he deleted this video because he knew the career suicide that comes along with defending idubbz and Hasan Piker. Loved watching his video, but now that I know he's spineless AF, not interested anymore. Yeah, no, it is very spineless. It's just because the whole video, he says, I don't really know. I don't know enough to say much of anything. And then when people comment, hey, it doesn't seem like you know enough. You're right, I'll delete the video. Okay, so that was just like some fake shield you were trying to put up, say, oh yeah, I don't know, I'm just unbiased, watching for the heck of it. But then when people call you out for saying the thing that you said, which is that you don't know anything about this, you delete the video. I just realized this is unlisted. Where am I? Under the YouTube. Good God, what a huge cringe fest. Good on him, he deleted it. At least he is not fully restrained. Okay, so I would assume those people are vaguely Caleb fans, if they're seeking out the video like this. And maybe they're also trying to make YouTube videos out of it. I don't know. But no wonder the dude deleted the video. That was a terrible, terrible video. And it's just embarrassing, honestly, truly embarrassing, to act like you're not bothered by the fact that you don't know anything about this. And then as soon as you get called out for not knowing anything about this, you delete the video and run away and say, oh, I'm just hanging out with my wife. Sorry. Lame. Very, very lame.